Hello and welcome to the Purpose Pursuit podcast with me, Hannah Miller. In this episode, I'm joined by my wonderful friend, PJ Ellis, fellow Brummie and absolute all-round legend. I don't want to tell you too much about him because there's just so much packed into our episode. But if you want to listen to somebody who's vulnerable, honest, fun and brilliant, and that's not me I'm talking about, is PJ. Have a listen. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. PJ, hello. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me today. I'm so chuffed you can be here.
You're welcome. I'm really grateful to be asked to be on this podcast. It's wicked.
Well, we're two Brummies.
Yep.
I've figured out we've actually got quite a few things in common. I'm a bit of an adopted Brummie because I grew up just outside of Birmingham, but we both went to Birmingham Uni.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
Well, in Romsley, near Clent.
Oh, right.
So not far.
Is that Black Country?
My parents are Black Country people.
Aye, bab.
So yeah, they are Black Country. But I went to Birmingham Uni, same as you. And I think we were there at the same time because we are the same age. I've Googled that today.
How old are you?
Same, 1979.
Yeah.
August are you?
I'm August.
And I'm September.
Oh, September the what?
15th.
Is that a Virgo?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think it is. Mum was a Virgo. September 3rd.
I was actually in your school year, but that's a different story. We'll come. That's
so
not
you
my
were
story today.
one of the eldest, and I was one of the youngest.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
No, but I wasn't because
you were on
I changed school years, so I ended up being the very youngest.
Of course, because you're
so
after me.
I missed a year of school, and actually, anyway, that's a story for another day.
Cool,
but I missed a year of school and ended up being at uni. I turned 18 as I went to uni that week.
So
I was a tiny baby.
97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were
At UOB?
Yes.
Oh my word.
Were you in halls or not?
Well, literally, it was a late sort of decision for me because this is part of the story.
Yeah, go on, tell us.
So my story, in a nutshell, was I didn't really ever think I'd go to university. I sort of did, but I didn't because I was being told, and this is 6 stone ago, that I'd be a footballer. So that was my journey as a kid. I was always going to be a footballer, right. But I sought sort of refuge, if that's the right word, because I was so socially awkward and anxious in the library. So I got really good grades.
Yeah.
So when I didn't make it as a footballer, I went to a standard school in Chelmsford Wood.
Yeah.
And they were like, be a lawyer, be a lawyer. And all of a sudden, I found myself at Oxford University doing matriculation for 5 days, thinking, what's this? Didn't even have a suit. And my dad dropped me off in his leather coat and a white shirt at Merton College in Oxford. But I didn't get into that, even though I was told I was. It was so bizarre. Anyway, that's another story we'll unpick one day.
Yeah, I'd love to know more about that
So it was an emergency application into the University of Birmingham. I didn't even know we had a university in Birmingham, let alone 3 or 4.
Which is, by the way, if you're listening, beautiful.
Oh, red bricks, stunning.
It's stunning. I visited a lot of campuses with my kids because of the ages they are.
Of course.
Nothing has got a patch on it in my
Great
opinion.
Hall, Old Joe's Tower.
Yeah, and people are surprised how lovely it is because people think Birmingham concrete.
Of course. And, it's on the Bristol Road sort of thing,
Gorgeous.
So halls-wise, let me guess what you were in. Chamberlain?
No.
Vale?
Oh, what's on the Vale? I was in Lake and Widrington.
Were you?
Yeah.
So I was literally in South catering accommodation.
Tennis courts?
The tennis courts?
Yeah, my husband was in the tennis courts.
Well, I wasn't in I was in the affiliated of the tennis courts, so I was over in, what was it called? Can't even remember. So it was hospital close.
Were you in
tennis
that bit
courts.
that was a bit further out?
Yeah, right by the hospital.
Yeah, I do know where you mean. Not quite on the Vale.
So basically, we had a laundrette, and that was it. But yeah, we obviously gravitated to the halls.
And then did you live in Selly or did you come
No,
home?
I lived in, I say Harborne, but it was Quinborne, darling.
Yeah, Quinborne.
Yeah.
I know loads of people that do the whole Harborne Quinton thing.
I wish I'd lived in Selly because bizarrely, my experience with university wasn't like what my brother had because I was so socially awkward. I lent into the football sort of thing, so I tried to play that role as the jock, But, life and family and all my existing friendships were pulling me away from university. So actually, although I've got friends from uni, it's not I didn't become as independent as quickly as my brother did, who went to Sheffield, So.
And I'd met my husband, so my uni experience was probably different to other people. Obviously, we weren't married then, but we were together. He'd just graduated when I started. He's older than us, way older. But, not way older, 3 years, but I like to make out that's so old.
I like it.
But that kind of affects your uni experience as well when you're already like settled and you're not looking to meet new people. Well, I've made loads of new friends, but I'd met my person.
I know what you mean.
I can't believe that. Okay, so you went and did law. Let's talk a little bit about this. For the sake of listeners, I want to go back in time to that. But tell us what you're doing now because you're not doing law. What does life look like now? And then we're going to go back.
So life is it's really interesting at the moment. I've got a few sort of projects on the go. I suppose my main job, if that's the right word, is I work for the BBC. I'm a radio host.
You are indeed.
DJ, you know.
And going out meeting people.
Yeah, well, literally, bizarrely, a year ago, probably like 14 months ago now, 15 months ago, I got a call from the BBC saying, "What are you up to?" And I'd not long sold a marketing business.
Yeah.
Now, when I say sold, I'm not off to the Bahamas anytime soon, but it certainly gave me some time, enough money to sort of make a
And
decision.
when we met,
chill
you
out.
just sold it and you
That's
were like,
right.
I'm wondering about what's next.
Of course, yeah, exactly that. And I suppose the universe responded, and somebody had introduced me, a friend of mine who works at the BBC, a lovely guy called Kev. He'd introduced me to one of the directors locally, so BBC West Midlands at the mailbox. And yeah, we just had a meeting and they said, "Oh, we want you to be part of the breakfast show." And I was like, "What's that all about?" So initially it was like reporting, like going out, meeting projects and community, brilliant people. And I was like, "This is all, it's all over. My name's all over this." I love that. It wasn't long after, I got that job, 4 weeks after I lost my mum, unfortunately. So that with hindsight, that actually got me out of bed because I was having to get up so early.
Yeah.
It really helped me.
Yeah.
But now they've asked me to do more actual presenting, which is fantastic. Away from that, I help my wife. She's got a mortgage company called the Mortgage Bab. It was the Mortgage Mum, but we've changed it.
The Mortgage Bab. She's going full tilt Birmingham.
Full Brummie in the West Midlands are. And that's a great little business, and I'm helping grow that. And I'm also trying to set a few little projects up, community, led with purpose, because, I've set a few charities up before, and, I absolutely love that. So, yeah.
And can we just talk a little bit about what you've just said about I was a bit socially awkward because I can't even believe that. So you're a radio presenter. You are one of the warmest, friendliest people I've ever met.
Okay.
I instantly thought we could be friends.
That's nice. We are friends.
Yeah, we are friends.
Yeah.
But when we met, I thought, you're great. I really like you. We've got similar values. But tell me about being socially awkward, because I think it would be amazing for people to hear that you, who is super friendly, felt like that.
Well, you know what? I think... it's interesting. I don't think I was doing a talk at this brilliant community project the other day. It's called Well Run Brum. It's just a group of people that meet together and run. Basically, it's wicked. And I was talking about my anxieties as a kid, and you see all the the nods, the positive attends that most people have got these sort of like albatrosses around their neck that I've always had, and they were born out of. I think it was born out of academia. I have a feeling that a number of things happened. So I was awkward, bit nervous, but I found football. That was my everything. I lived for football. But when I wasn't playing football, I was seeking, security around learning, like libraries, creating, drawing. And that, unbeknown to me at the time, was feeding a brain that I now know is the most overactive brain I've probably ever met. Not that you meet brains, but you know what I mean.
Would it be funny if you could meet brains?
What, The Man with Two Brains? You ever watched it?
No.
Oh, it's brilliant. Steve Martin back in the day,
Okay.
Dr. Huffar. Basically has a relationship with the brain. It's wicked. Yeah. And rightly or wrongly, back then, in the good old days, I was probably experiencing something that could now be not compartmentalised, but sort of tagged, if that's the right word, and therefore, as a result of that, given some sort of support or coping mechanisms around how to deal with that. And that didn't happen back then. So I just lived a life of being completely socially awkward, anxious, unable to look people in the eye, to the point where genuinely, my brain I would stay awake overthinking how much pain I'd be in when I gave birth. Like, I don't have a womb. I've never had a womb. It's like that is the information overload. I'm still now.
I thought my brain was overactive.
There we go.
I think you've just won that award. I've never thought about.
Well, what keeps you awake at night?
Oh gosh, all sorts of things. To-do lists, things people that I might have upset. Situations that feel unresolved, things that are outside of my control a lot that I wish I had more control over. Ideas that come to me. Things that I think are a great idea that I then have forgotten by the morning. We're similar in that way of being a little bit 100 miles an hour in brain and behaviour.
100%. And I think actually you've nailed something there. One of my main anxieties, if that's the right word, is actually also one of my sort of I need to control it, like the old chimp paradox and stuff like that. Talk to your human, control your chimp, all that. But it encourages me to do other things, because what a lot of those things that have gone into imposter syndrome, body dysmorphia, anxieties, whatever it might be, they all have sort of like amalgamated into this obsession to worrying about what other people think about.
Totally.
Yeah, so I'm conscious forever about what people have thought about me. And it's so interesting because over the last couple of years, whether it be through playing with passion, having that perspective that I think I've overpaid for, my mum certainly overpaid for it, but that gift of perspective has actually realised that no one really, I won't swear, cares about you as much as you think they do. I saw this brilliant photo. I was asked to do a talk about to the apprentices at the Southern City College, and it was all about getting out your own way. Have you ever watched Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Oh, so what a legend, you know, watching a football coach tell you the most amazing, powerful quotes you've ever listened to. But yeah, one to getting out your own way, believe all that. I found this photograph, stumbled across this photograph of me running a half marathon. I've run a few before you roll your eyes.
I'm not.
And a full marathon, darling.
I've run a couple.
Darling.
I've never done a full.
Oh, it's hard.
I've tried, and then I got an injury. That's a story for another day.
Yeah. That's
no,
what...
I
believe you.
I got up to about 15 miles in my training.
Oh, wow.
And then the doctor said I couldn't, and I
okay.
yeah, can't
Oh,
do
bless
it.
you.
I don't
Oh,
think
bless
it'll
you.
ever happen now.
Oh, a shame, because if you could, it was an amazing experience, but it took me about 3.5 football games in time, you know what I mean? It wasn't brilliant. But yeah, I found this photograph, and it was like literally, genuinely, I'll send it you after this. It was I was running a half marathon for charity, dressed as a 9-foot green alien. You know those ones that carry the actual human? Next to me were my two mates that were also doing that. And around me was a packed crowd of people that were also running the race,
Right.
including all the spectators that had come to watch the race. In that moment in time, nobody was looking at me. I couldn't believe it. I genuinely tried to find one single runner, one spectator, even one of my friends.
Even though you were dressed as a 9-foot.
I was dressed as a 9-foot green
alien.
alien. No one cares. They've got their own agenda. They've got their own time they want to meet. They've got their own worries about what they're having for dinner. So that's been a real cathartic thing for me, because I'm almost glad I've had those anxieties, because yes, they have hamstrung me, and they still do now. I'm nervous as ever. Got to do my breathing exercises in my car. Got to make sure my makeup's on under my eyes, you know, to make sure my crow's feet are. So I still have that burden of anxiety, but it pushes me into things that I think allow me to do nice things for people.
And what you were saying there, one of the things I talk to people about a lot when it's in hashtag the Purpose Pursuit book, but also when I'm coaching people, is it's what you've just described is a bit of the shadow side of the thing that makes you so lovely.
Okay.
Because if you care about what people think, that's also a wonderful thing. It means you care about what people think, like as in you care about people, you like them, you enjoy, you know, you've got a disposition which is I'm going to like everybody, and I'd rather start with that decision rather than see if people are trustworthy. But the shadow side of that is, because you care about what people think, you care about what people think
100%.
and affects you. And I'm learning to come to terms with that too, that I will give a lot of myself. I genuinely like pretty much everybody. That's my desire in life, is to think people are good at heart. And of course they're not all, and sometimes people aren't very nice, and then I find myself easily hurt by that on the flip side. And I have to live with that tension. If you feel a lot and you care a lot, you can also feel the dark side of that sometimes.
100%. And actually, like, I've been looking, I've always looked ahead. Like, I remember you telling me one of my strengths was the futuristic, but actually I've been more reflective of late, and I now appreciate that. You know, I used to think I was a decent, like, boss, I hate that term, but you know, I was good to people. But actually, and I've been successful to a point, you know, there are material trappings in my life that I used to think were signs of success: the watch, the car, the house, all that, whatever. But actually, I also realised that because I am so conscious of not pleasing people, but helping people, being nice, turning up, showing up, looking out for one another, I probably would never have reached those dizzy heights of success, monetary-wise, that I thought was success, if that makes sense. My purpose, in inverted commas, I thought was money, and it isn't. And although, of course, we've got to make a living in life, I get so much more back for doing the things that you can't really see sometimes, you know. And actually, all those tangible objects that I thought were images of success, I'd give up for a second with my mum now.
Of course you would.
You know.
And that's an amazing perspective to have. But take me back to when you were in law. Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
you did your law degree. Well, you did your degree. What did you do? Law as your first degree, and then you did your law,
so you have to do like
qualification.
you have to do like a year sort of post grad sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's called the legal practice course.
Okay, so you did all of that. But at that point, you made a decision to do something else.
I thought this was coming.
Can you tell everybody, if they don't know already, what at that point in your life, that's about when? 2002? 2002?
Yeah, 2002. Because I had a year out after university just to work in the post office at Chelsea
Love
Wood.
Love that. Just give
Cashier
your brain
number
a break.
2.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So 2002, you made a decision to apply to be on Big Brother.
So, right, in a nutshell, the most anxious person had... So university was quite interesting to me because, unbeknown to me and my dad have a laugh about this now, when he dropped me off I actually went to interview at Oxford University, and we can't work it out whether it's when he dropped me at UOB or Oxford, whatever it might be. He said, you can be whoever you want now, son. Now, he wasn't meaning for me to change, but he understood that
you could shed some things.
I could play a part I wanted to play, and I sort of transported or transform myself into this jock. I could play football, so I could instantly sort of like get me in with the lads, you know. And that sort of manifested itself in being the loud chap. You know, sometimes you'll see the loud person and the happy person is often the sad person.
Sure.
I love this little joke. I won't relate it properly, but a bloke goes into the doctor and he says to the doctor, he says, I'm really sad, I'm depressed, life's rubbish. And he said, you know what? You should go into town and watch Coco the Clown, he's brilliant. And the guy goes, I am Coco the Clown. You know, that sort of thing, you know. So I was playing this part for like years. And my best mate's mum was a massive Big Brother fan, massive. She used to create spreadsheets, man. There's another story there, because that's my best mate. He lost his mum 4 weeks after I lost mine. So we're going through this journey together. Whew. Anyway, and she'd applied for me. So this thing landed at my mum and dad's house. And I thought, I knew of Big Brother, don't get me wrong. It was about to be the third series. So 1 and 2 was on. And I'd known about it. We were all thinking, what's this, you know? It was the advent of reality TV, really.
Yes, it was.
They all started, Castaway, Shipwrecked, all that. And I thought, why not? So it was VHS, man. I had to go and find the massive recorder thing. Sat on my mum's table. I took one take, genuinely, sent it off, and the rest is history. So my surname for about 3 years was from Big Brother 3. PJ from Big Brother 3. That's what everyone knew me as. I did Big Brother. And it was an amazing experience. It was interesting actually getting in, because I played that part. You know, I remember the first interview was at a hotel in the Arcadian, and there's a huge queue, like, you know, Popeye and all that. And I just walked straight to the front. I was so nervous. I was so scared. And I thought, well, you know what? They're going to be looking for something here. They're going to be looking for somebody that acts differently. So I went to the front. I said, I'm here for the Big Brother audition. And the security looked at me and like, yeah, so are all they. He said, oh, no, that's all right, mate. They've told me to come to the front, mate.
Did you?
And and they let me in. And apparently, with hindsight, they said they clocked that and instantly
they
had
thought,
their eye on me. So it taught me loads of lessons in that. And actually, one of the main lessons was after all these psychometric tests and assessments and whatever it was, I was asked to do it. And me and my dad were in the car, and I looked at my dad, and my dad said, look, son, and it was probably one of the most profound throwaway comments he's ever said to me. He said, don't ever have a what-if moment. So I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. So, I had to bring my law school exams forward.
To get them done.
So I could go into this house in Elstree and just have a laugh for 60-odd days, which was bizarre. I mean, I upset things I probably shouldn't have done and said. Mum came out when I first... There's this thing I can't watch at the moment, but I know it exists because I've seen it a million times. But it's when I get evicted, I'm asking for my mum. Where's my mum? And I run to my mum. It was all live. We have a massive hug. And I remember whispering Maria saying, you were swearing a lot.
I know you'll have been asked this a million times, but I just want to ask you anyway. Do you find very quickly that you just forget that there are cameras rolling, and then do you become aware again when you're in there? Can you remember that feeling of like, oh my gosh?
Yeah, I do actually, because you get all these like that you know, you sign your life away really, but it's such a blur. But within that blur, they are telling you there's cameras and what you can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do, all this sort of stuff. This is God. I used to go commando as a kid. I never used to wear pants.
That we're going here.
I know, why not, man? Long time dead, aren't we? But so bizarrely, when I went into the house, even though I knew all the cameras were there, and you can see them and you can hear them.
Yeah, right.
Literally, oh, there's a pool, everybody. I went to take my kegs off, like, I've got no pants on, and this camera, straight away. So you do realise.
Okay.
But like we are here now.
You forget, and then you become conscious again.
Yeah, here and
of
there.
Of course you, I can
and the
imagine
longer
you
you're there,
do.
the longer you're there, the quicker you forget that it isn't a show. And you go into this deep narrative, like, because there was literally 3, 4, 5 days in, you've got through all the conversations, you know, about family, interests, work, whatever it might be.
You start to go deeper.
There's no stimulate, like nothing's coming in. We can't talk about, did you watch EastEnders last night?
Yeah,
or
sure.
you see the football?
Gosh.
Nothing. So it goes from, you know, I was 21 years old, you know, 22 maybe, 21, 21. But 21, 22? Oof, whatever. But yeah, young kid.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was the second youngest. I think Jade was the youngest. And then, but it was all a young crew. They were all, I think the oldest was 35 or something, you know, it's not old. But yeah, brilliant experience, and one that I probably have and never will completely unpack, but such a positive one for me. I know a few people had very negative ones, and I was it was lovely. I was so blessed in that sense.
So when you came out and you went back to life, obviously you went back to doing law, but was that straight away? Did you take some time to do other things first of all?
I had 3 years out.
Okay, so 3 years of doing all sorts of
just like
stuff off
front
the
of
back
OK
it.
magazine.
Yeah,
like, oh my word,
riding the wave.
Yeah, the OK magazine, they paid off my student, because the funny thing was, when we were in there, the only thing money that was ever discussed was, you get like an allowance sort of thing, you know, 20 quid a day or 30 quid a day or something, which you can't spend. So I was in there 50, 60 days, can't remember. So I worked out, I thought, I'm going to make £1,800, amazing, pay off my credit card or whatever. Came out, you know, little did I know that it was a money-making thing as well. I mean, I didn't.
And it was quite early days of reality.
It was
doing that kind of thing for people's lives, I guess.
Yes,
it's very different now. People know more calculated the decision of.
Well, we weren't allowed to talk about it. So when we went in, if anyone, and there were a few people in there that were actresses or singers or whatever, and they were clearly thinking this could be a platform to do other things with. If you did openly talk about that, Big Brother would call you in and say, this isn't the platform, this is a social experiment. So it's very different now. Obviously, people go in to get the followers and whatever, and fine if they can cope with that. I couldn't live in a Big Brother world now with the online. No way. Because I've got friends at Alison, you know, I know, you know, she's the most beautiful person, and she still gets hate letters and comments and stuff, which is ridiculous.
All the time, I bet she does.
I don't think I'd cope with that very well. But yeah, it's it was amazing. I had an agent, you know, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, so I lived the dream, I suppose, with a lowercase d. Didn't invest as much as I could have, but, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Just played the role that most 21-year-olds would have done, I think. You had got a small insight into what it would be to be a professional footballer, I suppose. Sorry, just...
It's fine.
But I went back into law, and then actually I soon realised, and this is probably more relevant to what we're talking about today, I suppose, is I soon realised that I wasn't playing with any passion. I wasn't playing with any purpose. You know, I'd almost fell into this role that I thought that would afford me a nice life, and I thought that was your purpose. I thought that's what it was, and part of it is, you know, to provide.
Sure.
But I had no one to provide for at that point, so it was very much just all targeted around, I'm going to go to London and make this sort of money. And I would say within about 3 years into what was probably around 7-8 year career, I hated it.
And what did that feel like to hate it? Did it feel like, I don't think this is me, I don't think this is important enough? What was it that was the tension you were beginning to feel?
I mean, I'm not just saying it because like you're an author and the P is in the title of your book, but the purpose, it's like, I just had none. Like it bought a house, it paid for holidays, but it took me away from my children. It made me an angry person.
Right.
It brought out all the anxieties, because you'd see people that were loving law, and although I thought I was a good lawyer, I'd almost compare myself to them. Why aren't I loving it as much as they do? And actually, I think that the industry wasn't what I expected. You know, I'd watched Ally McBeal on telly, and I thought it was going to be cocktails and dancing babies.
I used to love Perry Mason, and I wanted to be him.
Yeah, there we go. Like LA Lawyer and whatever it was, and all that. And it wasn't. You know, it was a slightly. I thought it'd be all like eloquent reading, big books and all that. It's not. It became quite a factory sort of approach to cases and stuff. And yeah, I mean, as I said, there was nothing that really, really got me going, other than every 30 days I'd be paid, you know, handsomely, I suppose.
Sure.
But you were selling your soul a little bit as well, you know.
For sure. So there's two things I want to pick up with you about this. One is about you as a person, and we're both from Birmingham. We both
Yeah.
got Birmingham accents.
Yeah.
Proud to be from the Midlands. Very, very proud of it. I sometimes have felt, rightly or wrongly, let's just be honest, you're clearly academic. So was I. I've felt sometimes that people have thought I'm not very clever.
Yeah. Why do you think that?
Why do I think people think that? I think because I don't have a massive professional air about me. I think I have an accent. I think people's expectations of me are probably, she's bobbing along quite nicely. And I've never wanted to be somebody that I would never, I'm saying this for the sake of this conversation, I would never push the fact that I'm, academic or anything like that, because I don't want to be that person. But I have picked up feelings sometimes that there is an underestimation. You have obviously gone on to do loads of things. You have never hidden your roots. You've never tried to lose your accent or be somebody you're not. Did you experience some of that in your setting? Of feeling like
I did, I did. I mean, I asked you why, because I suspect, all those answers are very similar to the journey I've been on. You know what? This is so bizarre, but like my first ever, I had a client who was on. I can't remember what you call it now, remand, basically, so waiting trial or whatever, in jail. And I went to see him. I was so nervous. I think I was still a trainee lawyer at the time. I would have been, because I didn't do criminal law, so it was just, you had to do different seats, different like areas of law. And I went in and I said, good morning, Mrs. Miller, good morning. And he was like, mate, let me stop you there, bruv. That's my best attempt at a London accent. Don't come in here with your fake accent. Give me what you've got.
Right.
And I was like, oh, mate. So I went straight back into all right, mate. It's like, and it was quite profound. He didn't know he was telling me to be my real self. But I left that cell thinking, he's so right. Like at that time, I wasn't enjoying my work. I was sort of like side-eyeing other opportunities and stuff. And I'll come back to that in a bit if we've got time, because that's when I sort of fell into charity. But what the research, if that's, with a lowercase r, we called it, around that Birmingham piece I looked at, was actually everything I saw at that point, and certainly then I remember everything I had growing up, was the Birmingham accent was like associated with like, the common folk, like, the dunces, like, oh Lord, mate, like, and there's also confusion around that. The Birmingham accent they used to show on telly was more the Black Country accent.
Yes.
I'm not saying that means the Black Country people
it's a lovely accent, but it's a different one.
Oh, I'm in love with the Black Country.
And they're brilliant people.
Oh, like genuinely, like Bilston Market, Briley Hill Market. Shout out to you guys. Just
my
the
mum
best.
and dad are from Dudley and Cradley Heath.
Oh, the best, man. Honestly, the best. Dudley Market. There's a lad. Every time I see him, he brings this big zippy head on. I put it on my head. I just run around the market. It's just wicked.
And they're just fun and self-deprecating people.
They are. If you want a story,
so funny.
Go to Black Country. People will talk to you about brilliant stories. Absolutely brilliant storytellers as well. So yeah, that started to make me think, actually, you know what? Maybe these anxieties are born out of the fact that I'm from Birmingham. How dare that happen? With all these brilliant things that go on in Brum. So I started to think, you know what? I looked at other cities and they were beating their chest left, right and centre about things that we'd done 4 or 5 years ago. Oh, we've got this huge building. Huh? We've had this building around the corner for years. So I thought, hang on, maybe we need to restore a bit of civic pride. Maybe we need to start beating this drum together. So me and a friend set up a charity called Love Brum.
Yeah.
And you can probably guess, it says it on the tin, like, it was all about loving Birmingham. And we did that by unearthing, showcasing, finding, whatever, hidden gem projects across Birmingham. So brilliant people, brilliant communities, all doing brilliant things that create tangible outcomes in this brilliant city. So you could see the outcomes of a project in Ladywood that was cleaning up the streets. You could see the outcome of a project in Solihull that was buying Makaton toys to help kids with Down syndrome. Whatever it might be, these hidden heroes, inspired by a little bit of Humans of New York, the story behind the photograph, the people behind the project. And Love Brum was born, and 10 years later, 12 years later, it's still going. We've funded over 400 projects. We've helped thousands of people. And I hope, helped accelerate, motivate, encourage, whatever it might be, other projects that started coming out. I Choose Birmingham, Independent Birmingham,
right.
you know, all these brilliant projects now that just love Birmingham.
brilliant.
You know, we're doing it together.
It's so great to see.
We need to do more of it.
We so do, and
Yeah.
we do need to be championing it because it is an amazing city, and we could talk about that
100%,
forever.
mate. I lived in London for 3 years, and I've got brilliant friends from London. I felt alone. No one would talk to me. I mean, I was the nutter on the tube. Like, all right, mate. No one would talk to me.
It's my whenever I'm on the tube, it's my goal to like make somebody
Yeah,
look at
man.
me and smile.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it makes it changes somebody's day, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
It really does.
So what gave you the confidence to step away from? So one of the things that happens when I work with people, sometimes people have given a lot to a career, and maybe they've loved it for a while, but they're at a moment of transition. Maybe something's happened in their life. Maybe they've had a baby.
Yeah.
Maybe they've had a loss. Maybe they've got married. But they're beginning to think, you know, I'm in a new stage of life, and I don't think this is me anymore, or I'm ready for something else. Let alone, I actually really don't like it, which sometimes people feel.
Yeah.
Even a medic who spent years, you know, training and then thinking, I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
How did you find the courage
Yeah.
to just go, right, I'm stepping away from something that I guess is then a bit part of your identity, I'm a lawyer and so on and so forth. How did you do that?
Well, it's so interesting because the answer the find from what I'm going to go answer, I think I've got the answer. What I found as a result of getting it done is actually the most beautiful thing all these things that I did with bravery, if that's the right word. I say bravery because I've never been paid for my charity work. Love Brum was a voluntary role.
Yeah.
It's not a job. I've never been paid. But I started to look back at all these roles and things that I've done in my life that I've never been paid for, but they're the most beautiful things I've done.
Yeah.
So actually, when I've played with passion and purpose, actually it's made me more brave and to procrastinate less. It's got me moving. So what triggered it though, I think, was a number of things. Now, I've thought a lot about my past since Mum's passed. And hindsight is a wonderful thing. But I do think it was born out of, I think it started subconsciously doing things for others through those anxieties of my upbringing.
Right.
I always felt like I had to put because I felt so alone sometimes. I had the most loving upbringing. My mum and dad were the best Irish Catholic, you know, the fundamentals, the pleases, the thank yous. My mum, I still don't understand this, but never look in a lady's handbag. I don't know what that means, but you know, I don't know what that means. Maybe it was that day she was hiding something, I don't know. Used to carry a pistol. No, she didn't. But I think that it was born out of the fundamentals of helping others. Mum would be the first one to give her last pound, like all the time. Yeah. She was in teaching, education. She'd be the one that would get told off because she'd leave a pair of trainers at somebody's, you know, like she. So I think that
generosity was in your family.
Yeah, 100%. I'd go around. I'd come home one day and there'd be friends around my house. They'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know we were meeting." No, I'd come see your mum because Mum would feed them and look out for them. Probably give them a sneaky cigarette or whatever. So I was born out of like this. Well, I lived in this family that would always give and help others, right? And it wasn't always monetary because since Mum's gone, the amount of conversations I've had where people have told me she was an extended mum for guidance and comfort and just listening, like so powerful. I hope she knows the difference she made. I really do. Well, she had 700 people at the funeral. It's mental. It was like a local celebrity. It was ridiculous.
Lovely.
She was. It filled the church, and I think it can do at least 500. Anyway, fitting for such a beautiful person. But I blame social media basically. I was sitting there scrolling away. I was on Twitter at the time, or X, whatever you call it now. I'd just become a dad, so all these things were coming to fruition, these feelings. You know, I started crying at John Lewis adverts. I mean, what's that all about? I was being moved by something, and it was becoming apparent, you know, this responsibility. And I'd stumbled across a boy that wasn't going to make it. He was terminally ill, a boy called Harry Mosley. You might know of him. And he was selling bracelets to all the celebrities and stuff like that. Yeah. And I thought, wow. And this is all in the open. I've spoke to his mum about it, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I was obsessed, if that's the right word, with knowing this boy was going to pass away because he was terminally ill with a brain tumour, but trying to learn as much from him in those last few months or years that I can without knowing him. It was weird. I became transfixed with his story and his journey, and whether I got perspective from that or gratitude, or there's no competition in that sort of stuff. But, you know, I'm sitting there eating my curry, healthy to a point, you know, watching the football, and this young boy and his family is dealing with the most traumatic thing. And guess what? I look in the corner and there's my boy. And I thought, right, there's something here. There's a disconnect between what I'm doing within Birmingham, as in I'm making other people rich and doing all this legal work, where actually I should be doing something different. I felt empowered to make a change, whatever that was. So I reached out to Harry's mum, Georgina, when he passed away, unfortunately. And I said, look, I don't know what it is, but I want to help. Excuse me. So I went to go and talk to her very briefly. I said, look, I do a golf day. She got into golf. I raised some money, thinking that was the change. You know, I'll give you money. I'll give you money. But actually, what that led into, because the response was so massive, was, and to be fair, me and my wife ended up in marriage counselling with this, because I was coming in from like a 12-hour work, eating, then staying up till 4 a.m. to work on this charity, because the response was like, I just couldn't keep up with it. So this golf day turned into a 1,200 black tie event at the ICC. We raised 120 grand. And at one point, it's all sliding doors. At one point, I couldn't do it. So I asked on Facebook. Tim Andrews replied, I'll help you, mate. And the rest is history with that, because we went on to set Love Brum up together. So Georgina asked, I was a lawyer at the time. Everyone thinks lawyers love filling out paperwork. So I did a few bits and bobs with that charity. I was a trustee for a couple of years. We all set up this charity. It's still going now. Help Harry, Help Others, doing a brilliant thing for people and kids with cancer. Very proud of that. But 2 years in, I started to think, actually, although this is a beautiful cause, and I say this in the right way, I intend this to be the right way. At that point, it was easy to raise money for that charity. It was wet-nosed. It was a poor boy. It was a brilliant story. Yeah. So they were good. They had brilliant people around it. I wanted to get a little bit slightly different. I saw there was issues across Birmingham that weren't as wet-nosed.
Absolutely.
Arts and culture, social enterprise, crime, homelessness, whatever it might be. And I thought, right, I'll fix that. So me and Tim had a chat, and 15 pints later at the old Contemptibles, we'd bought a URL. I woke up in the morning, what's Love Brum?
Here we go, yeah.
And the rest is history. But yeah, it was that triggering moment where this sort of thing came into my life at the first time, where I thought, oh, is this the energy you get when you're doing
something that's
when you find something
what you're meant to be doing. That's so good. And that's a bit for people to take away. Like when you're in those moments, when you start to, I'm always saying this to people, spot where you feel most alive.
Yeah.
Spot those moments when you find yourself thinking, I want to be doing this, and start to like pull on that thread and see where it takes you, because none of it's wasted. I mean, a different situation, but similar. We lived in Sutton when we first got married, my husband and I. We were renting a flat, and through a set of circumstances, my husband grew up in Erdington, so he's literally grew up roads away from here. And we just found ourselves feeling that Erdington's quite forgotten, and there's lots of challenges for young people and children growing up here for extra reasons that other young people don't have. Poverty, low expectations, basically. People don't expect anything good to happen. Yeah. And that was where Urban Devotion began in 2003, when our eldest was a little boy, and we moved on to the estate. And that charity began its grassroots work with children, young people and their families, which still exists today. We're trustees. Sam doesn't work there anymore, but we're very involved on a trustee level. And that is about commitment to actually, we may not feel like we're making this massive splash on a global level, but to the people of Erdington, it's a massive, massive difference to their lives. Yeah. And they love what UDB do, and they love the blue t-shirts that I see around the place, and, knowing there's people that care about them. But that was, again, it came from conversations, pulling on a thread, and before you know it, you're doing something that you never imagined. Yeah, and I think I hope people listening don't think in any way, I'm not anybody exceptional. We've just followed things and decided to act on it.
I think that's
where the energies come.
That's really powerful, because, I was telling you just before we started this conversation, it was for me, like I'm telling my kids now, it's very binary. You might not be the actor that you want to be, you might not be that footballer, but you've got to go with one. Go one. Yeah. It's on. Zero will never happen. And I think what I would say is, I think that's Love Brum will never take over the world. Urban Devotion won't ever take over the world, but it'll take over somebody's world.
That's right.
It'll take over somebody's world. It will have that empowering enrichment piece that will take over and impact somebody else's world. And for me, that makes that energy around that legacy piece, knowing that I would have touched, not physically, hundreds, thousands of people within a city I love most, whilst also then championing the city, making sure it stays on the map, making sure people understand that within Erdington, within Castle Bromwich, within Chelmsford Wood, all these impoverished zones that no one should ever go into are the most beautiful, passionate people you'll ever meet.
That's right.
People that are getting their hands dirty to make a difference. Yeah, they might not have the exec titles, but who cares? You know, your kids don't look at your titles anymore. No one's going to remember me. Oh, Dad, were you an associate or a partner at your law firm? No, actually, Dad set up this brilliant charity, man, that did X, Y, and Z. And even if they don't, because the challenge is, as us Brummies, like, it's hard for us to talk about it because you instantly think, are people going to think that I'm trying to be someone I'm not? You know, people am I using the voice of Love Brum to accelerate my? No, not at all. I have to talk about it because that's what we all should be doing. We should be bigging up all the brilliant things that brilliant people do, and that makes the world a better place. It really does. Because this is our world.
That's right.
You know, and as long as we're making a difference, I'll sleep a bit better at night.
And alongside that, obviously, you set up a bit, you know, just to fill in a massive gap that we didn't speak about. You did also have a business.
Yeah. I had to pay the bills. Like.
Exactly. And I think there's something to say there that not everything also comes from our paid work. You can love your paid work.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes people think it should meet all the needs.
Yeah.
And actually, there are loads of other things that can, like the fact Love Brum was part of what gave your life purpose. Being a dad, your family, all the other things you do are all part of the fabric.
Yeah.
And you can't expect your paid work to meet every need, but we can be doing paid work that's more us.
Yeah,
what about having your own business
100%.
and the work that you did there was more you than when you were a lawyer?
So it was the people, like,
Okay.
there was this. I still had that sort of like nuances of like, I thought success was, you know, huge businesses, offices, whatever it might be. And we got there, you know, it was a middle-sized business. I mean, it was a SME. It was like 30 people. Like, it was only, you know, it wasn't massive, but
which are also the backbone of the UK.
yeah, well, yeah, of course. But from a grandeur point of view,
sure.
you know, it wasn't a Gymshark or anything like that. Which I thought, you know, I'd always own something like that one day. But what I loved about Lightbox, so I set up this again. Mum, bless her, she believed in me, gave me 10 grand, said, right, get out of the law.
Amazing.
No, actually, I was doing some business development for people. Everyone thinks because I portray myself as confident, which I still aren't, that I know so many people. I'll be brilliant at business development. I'm actually rubbish at sales, to be fair. Although I've always done all right.
I can't believe you're rubbish at sales.
No, I am. I can't close the deal.
Yeah, okay,
I can't close
you
the door.
can do the whole get.
Yeah.
You need somebody to go with you that does the you do all the warming up act.
And when
then
someone has to ask for money or to
you
close
switch
it,
to them.
no, not me. And that's why we worked so well, because I set up this paid advertising business. Mum gave me 10 grand, bless her. Tried to pay it back with interest, wouldn't take it. God bless her. Wish you had, Mum. And it just went mad. And then a friend of mine that I'd known from the Birmingham City, he come to me, and it was clearly because I was coming up against him for pitches and stuff like that, and winning him if he's listening, beating. And we merged. So it went from like a very small business to what I thought was big at the time, and we grew that. And so the energy I got out of that actually was the people, because I'd never obviously employed people, certainly not through COVID. So it was like, it was a real challenge, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
And I learnt that if I ever was going to grow a business to a point where, you know, I'd probably have to be a little bit more selfish, if that's the right word, a bit more draconian and direct, because I was a bit soft, I suppose, as a leader, because I like people. But my business partner, he was more the, you know, the direct person. So it worked quite well.
But that's great.
Yin and yang, it worked really well.
I think you need both,
it
really,
did.
don't you?
He's such a nice guy, but he was able to have those awkward conversations that I wasn't very good at. So we did that for about 5 years, and then he'd been doing it for like 12 years before. I'd been doing it for 3 years before. So my journey was 8 years in marketing. His was about 15, 16. He's gone off and merged with a huge business. I took some money and, yeah, just sort of like chilled out for a bit. And then I started doing non-exec work, which was great, going into businesses, advising them. But then I soon realised that I just didn't back myself. Like, you know, people were paying me for my ideas. How dare they? And I struggled with that, if I'm honest. Sitting around a table, then paying me, you know, decent day rates to go tell them things that I think everyone should know. When in fact, I try and tell my wife now, like, actually, not everyone knows about compound interest. You know, you might think that it's an easy thing to talk about, but no one knows.
And nobody, and you know, I suffer with this all the time. I spend loads of time with, you know, the kind of work I do. I spend a lot of time with business owners, CEOs, and so on. And I'll walk into the room and I have to fight the thing of, what on earth do you think you've got to say to these people every single time? But there are things that only you can do, and there are things that your story, your personality, your ways of being that are a real gift to those situations. And I can champion other people so easy and tell them, you're amazing, you contribute this. But we've got to remember that there's a contribution
Yeah.
that we make and that you make that is valid and
100%.
is really important.
Well, I've done an exercise, and please do this if you're listening. Go back, whether it be opening your LinkedIn, no one's got a CV anymore, have they? And really think about your story, because they said to me, everyone overthinks, like, you know, social media pillars and channels,
Yes.
and just tell your own
The story.
because it resonates. You know, you'll be doing things that people will, oh yeah, of course.
And you think it's really, really nothing, but it's your story.
And then you'll watch a comedian, Peter Kay. Oh yeah, he's right. Cadbury's Fingerers. We look for chocolates abroad and all that sort. I say it's spitting, you know.
Exactly.
Resonates.
We love that.
But what I loved about it most was actually when I came out of that project and started to look at it and go, oh actually, that was this, that was a challenge here, that was my achievement, that was my obstacle, that's how I overcame it. I started to realise, well, actually, all the beautiful things that have really happened in my life was when I was really leaning into, or at least thinking, I'd found a purpose. I was playing with passion. And that made me just, you know, I think it's a simple thing. If you can play with passion, and now I'm playing with a gift of perspective.
Yes.
If you haven't got that perspective, live off somebody else's, learn from somebody else's before it's too late.
Yeah.
You know, I used to have this anticipatory grief. Like, I used to worry every day about what it would be like for my mum to not be with me. What's the point of that? Because I can't even articulate it now, the pain, let alone having not experienced it. So there's loads of learns from doing that exercise. And one of them, the main one for me, is as soon as you can play with passion, and that could be anything, it can look like so much to so many different people. It could be saying yes more to no's. It could be joining the club. It could be responding to that message, whatever it might be. And lean into some sort of perspective that you got. I always think like the most beautiful things happen out of that.
They
really do.
And I mean, to pick up from that, there's a chapter in my book where I get people to think about their story and how powerful story is to ourselves. And like you say, to look back over your life and realise where are the threads, where are the things that I go, oh, there's a theme here that's coming through. And the power of knowing your story and being able to communicate that with other people is such a gift to be able to do. And I think the other thing I wanted to say with that as well was that being able to share stories helps other people learn from the bits that we've experienced. In my book, all the way through, I share client stories. Like, obviously, I've anonymised them and changed them. And my editor loved those. She said it was like getting to look under the covers, you know, behind the scenes of something. Because we love a bit of story. We love that kind of connection to somebody else's life. But if we don't know our own story and we just think, oh, well, I've just got an everyday story, and we don't realise how beautiful everybody's story is beautiful. You've asked Laura some of her story before we started, and Matt a bit of his. And we've all got these brilliant things that we can share that really make us who we are.
Well, I think that, I mean, I think this life is busy, right, isn't it? Everyone's got their own thing going on, right? And I think we're probably, certainly with the scroll mentality that we live by sometimes, you know, we're telling kids, oh, get off your phone whilst you're on the phone yourself. I think it's easy to like and reshare and move on without actually sometimes these powerful like things that you read are so true, so true. You know, everyone's got their own story. And it is sometimes one of my learns of late, and then one of my inspirations, if that's the right word, to set up my most recent project.
I want you to go here because this is the thing I want you to tell us about before we finish.
Mommy's Boy.
Yes.
Yeah, Mommy's Boy. So basically, off the back of the 12 months I'd just gone through, you know, despite like literally like falling to your knees when you're making a cheese and cucumber sandwich because you remember your mom taught you how to cut a cucumber, simplest things like that. I started to sort of like appreciate that, you know, the framework of support and love and friendship that I've got around me. Wow. Like, you know, thank you sort of thing. You know, I was so grateful. My best friends that we grew up with growing up lost their mums literally. My best mate lost his mum literally weeks after my mum passed away, Marion. Siobhan died 4 weeks later. And then Ryan's mum, Marie, died 3 months later. So there's three lads that used to play football in a playground or whatever, 30 years later, all lost their mum within the space of 4 or 5 months. So we went for a walk on Sutton Park, and I thought, here we go. We've all broken down, some more than others. Me, I'm the emotional peach. I'm the one that cries at everything. So I was like on my knees, like, you know, love a good hug with my mates. I used to when mum was alive, to be fair. Nothing will change. But what came to fruition was that, you know, I used to get that derogatory, oh, you're a mommy's boy, you are. Okay, so I am a mommy's boy. What is a mommy's boy? Well, you talk to your mum all the time. Yeah, and? Well, you tell your mum that you love her every day. And? Yeah, I'm a mummy's boy, and it wasn't so much like I want to change that whole derogatory theme of being a mummy's boy. It was more around actually just those little conversations I had with my best mates, and then the other sort of sentiment and response to other people that had been in touch with me was very much like, hang on. There isn't necessarily a community or a space for blokes that have lost their mums. And I know that sounds really niche, but actually, I want to now set up a community. Yeah, look, you don't have to have lost your mum and you don't need to be a bloke to join the community. But the only reason why I started with that was because that has been my lived experience for the last 12 months. I know what exactly that feels like for me. So, and it'll feel very different to Laura. It'll feel very different to your husband. And actually, the more you talk about that, you actually start to appreciate that, albeit you don't want to compare and contrast and compete, you actually understand that there might be some sort of comfort that's born out of talking to somebody else. There might be some sort of hindsight that you can give someone else. It might be something that just leans into a different support group that might be helping someone with stress around finances. People might not have been able to work after having... I cannot believe, I always thought, I said to my wife, I used to say, when my mum passes away, I'm happy if you leave me because I'll be a different bloke. I won't go to work. I'll just lose it. I'll find all the addictions I've never had, but actually I've been going to work. I've been coping, and that's because of the frameworks I've had around me. Some blokes haven't got that,
No.
And some blokes don't want to talk. Some blokes are finding it now. There's data to suggest that blokes are more willing to talk side by side to other blokes that have gone through similar things. And if I can help one bloke, via mum, because she would have done it. She used to be the football manager's wife. She knew all the lads. You should have seen all the gangsters at her funeral, all the local boys, they loved her. And I think, that's what I want to do now. I want to be able to create a brave, safe space for people to be able to talk, mainly about losing their mums. And honestly, the response has been ridiculous. Like that, some of the most beautiful responses to videos of late, but some of the more DMs that I've had, blown my mind. Like, I lost my mum 20 years ago, I've never been able to speak about it. All this, I'm thinking, okay, there's something here.
There really is.
But what I want to do is also signpost them then into other communities that can help them, whether it be there's walking and talking groups, there's running groups, there's Andy's Man's Club, there's loads of different groups there that are supporting men's mental health by doing different things. And whether I can even be a signposter or a community in itself, that is something I want to be. So that is my passion play at the moment.
I love that. And I think just to kind of say that in what you've just explained is how sometimes some of the most painful things in life can also lead to some beautiful things happening. Not that we want those things to happen, I don't mean that, but actually pain, difficult circumstances we experience do change the way we see things, the way we see ourselves, and beautiful. What a lovely legacy for you to be making that happen. And
well, I think it's more of a legacy of my mum's, really.
Well,
you're right. I think what is it like? Most beautiful rainbow comes after the biggest storm,
and it's so cheesy. And at the time, you're like, I don't want any of this. I don't want this painful experience. But like you say, a gift. If we choose it, a gift of perspective, and then what we choose to do next, can be so altered by some of these experiences we have that shape us.
The most beautiful view comes after the most difficult climb, and all that sort of stuff.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, and I genuinely believe
that.
Hard
but true.
Yeah, hard but true.
Who wants it?
I don't want it. I'd give my mum back.
Of course you would.
I'd have her back for a second. I'd give everything I own. But one thing I know that out of this, it's selfishly. Someone told me the other day, right? It was brilliant. There can't be a selfless act. Somebody said to me, I was like, hang on, mate. What are you on about? I said, I've done all this charity work. But he said, yeah, but you're getting something out of it. And he's right. And actually, this is a piece for me as well. So this is for me to heal as well.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Selfishly, I will get as much out of this as I know Mum would have wanted me to. And if I'm able to do that with other people side by side, that's what I'm all about. So yeah, I mean, I've just got to work out how that fits in with all my other projects.
The 100 of the portfolio of things that you're doing.
But I know now. I think I know because actually the experience. So all these people out there that want to do something, whilst you're doing that and enjoying what you do and helping others, whatever it might look like, you learn so many things.
Yeah.
And actually now, for years, I've been telling people, why don't you do this? Why don't you set it up as a CIC and you can go and get capacity funding, all this sort of stuff. And now I'm thinking, I might learn from all my own advices.
Absolutely.
So I will never monetize the project, but I might look for funding to create a bit of capacity within the project so you can actually, so the energy doesn't wane. There's only so much you can do for free.
So where can people find it? if they're looking for it.
Mummysboy.co.uk.
Okay.
Yeah, spelt with an O. How do you spell it?
Oh, with an O?
Yeah, there we go, Bab.
With an
although,
O.
Although I've also bought the URL Mummy's Boy just in case it'll be redirected.
You might need it, but Mummy's Boy, I'm glad you have.
Mummy's Boy, yeah. Or just hook me up on LinkedIn, PJ Ellis. Yeah, I mean, I've got a few other bits. I've got starting a podcast. You can come on it actually called All Right Bab.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Two words that start the most amazing conversations.
Absolutely.
You know those bus stop ones at 20 minutes. You've met some random woman from Bilston.
And you know everything about their life, and you're like, wow, how did we get there?
You come away blessed,
For sure.
But yeah, thanks.
I could talk to you for hours. I know you're so busy. You've given me your time. I'm so grateful.
Grateful.
It's been a joy, and thank you for being on.
You.
And I
really
thank you for
appreciate
everything that you are doing for so many people.
Oh, thanks, mate. And likewise, I think, listen, us two little Brummies are doing our best to spread some love, and that's all we can do, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.